I lost two brothers. So my mother had two sons, and then she also had two daughters. So we have two remaining daughters, and then I have a daughter, a son, and another daughter. And I'm married, and my son has Barth syndrome, and he's 23 now. My older daughter is not a carrier. My younger daughter will get tested soon. He went into heart failure at about 14 hours old. So we knew, because I'd lost two brothers, that he had probably had the same disease that I lost my brothers to. So we were on kind of high alert when he was born. Well, we didn't know he was a boy. When he was a boy and then went into heart failure, we were like, okay, now we know.
What happened to your other brothers?
So my first brother died when he was 4 months old, just never really had failure to thrive, and had cardiac condition but was never treated, and then expired at 4 months old. He passed away without any treatment and no other family history, and then that was before I was born. Then I was born, and then my second brother was born, and when he went into heart failure, they both went into heart failure early on within the first couple of days. And when he went into heart failure, they realized that there was, something going on with the boys. And so they did treat him, and he did live to be about 30 months old.
Wow.
But as is very kind of normal, or seeming normal with this disease, once he was on the cardiac meds, and he was on digoxin at that point in the 60s, he did fairly well. And at that point, the doctor said, okay, he's fine. His heart had kind of gotten better, and there was no worry, and we lived in Washington State at the time, and the doctors told my mother to take him off his meds. And she is a nurse, and she said, I'm not really comfortable with that. I know you're supposed to wean off, but it was such a teeny weeny dose. And they said, just take him off. So they took him off, and they were able to revive him 3 times, but he did finally perish. My husband's side of the family has a rare, very virulent form of cancer. So I think in this day and age, there's so many different genetic illnesses that we hear about. I think about it for my daughters. I haven't had to live through losing a son, so maybe it would be a little bit different if Jack weren't still alive. But at this point, it doesn't bring a tremendous amount of guilt, because I kind of knew, and my husband knew before we got married, that there was some kind of issue that could show up in boys. So being a second generation and kind of having that, I kind of knew, and it was, they really were faithful, and we just do what we need to do. My mom has been very, very active in the Barth syndrome organization, has come to every conference, and has, done anything that people have asked. And I don't know if it's out of a sense of duty or a sense of guilt, or just, she loves her boys and her grandson and wants to do everything she can. She is a medical professional. She's extremely intelligent, so I think she can bring a lot more she works very closely with Matt Toth and Kate in regards to the scientific and medical part of it, which I could never do. So, I couldn't answer for her, but I don't blame her for anything. Absolutely not. And neither does my husband. As being one of the families that was sitting on pillows in Baltimore in 2000, it was, it really is very isolating to, at that time we thought, just like a lot of my peers, thought we were the only ones going through this. We just didn't know where to turn. Our doctors did everything they could to help, and luckily medically managed Jack's condition so that he is 23, but at that point I just thought I was the only person in the world who was dealing with this. So when we all came together in Baltimore, it was just like you could breathe again. It's like, oh my God, it's not just me, and there are people out there that I can talk to, and that understand, and I learned so much, and we learn so much all the time. So I couldn't, without the conference and without the Barth syndrome family, even though I don't keep up on the listserv that much, my mom and my husband kind of keep me attached to things, but just knowing that there's backup out there is just awesome. It's bittersweet. We always say it's bittersweet because we don't want people to have this disease, but at least we know that even in happy times and in sad times, everyone knows what everyone else is going through. What has really been helpful is to understand that not every boy is the same. And so like I'm even going through something with Jack where I 16 years into it, I'm looking to talk to a couple of specialists because there's something going on with him that I want to chat about, that I was able to talk to other mothers and go, oh yeah, that's happening now too. So even though we've been in it since the beginning, each age range brings something else to it, so you always need to come back. There's just always new changes. I mean, I sat in on Matt Toth's talk yesterday and it was like, oh my gosh, there's going to be 8 therapies that can help them. And I think what people think is that, well, there's no cure, so why bother? But, these boys are living day to day with issues that there are therapies for. And so don't we owe it to them to understand how we can make their lives easier? It's not about me, it's about everything to help him as well as my daughters who may or may not be carriers. So I think it's so much information. It's information rich, and you can throw some of it out if it doesn't pertain to you, but at least you know that now my son is at that stage, I need that information again. You know where to go get it. And every conference has a different bits of that rich information. So that's why you need to come back. Jack started out in the beginning coming, and what he gets out of it, he told his younger sister, this is my time. This is the place I go, and everyone knows me, and I don't have to put up a front. I can be myself, and they're all like me. Because this is the only time, every other year, I can go and just be me, and there's no judgments. What we get out of Jack being here is that in the beginning, I'd say probably when he was like 12, 14, he's like, I don't want to do these tests. I don't want to do blood. And we make them. I mean, I know that sounds really mean, but it's like, it's not just about you. It's about everyone else. And there's so few men and boys with Barth, suck it, take one for the team, because you need to be part of these studies. And so he's like, all right, I don't put my foot down about a lot, but I put my foot down about that. And now he's coming on his own and being part of the studies. So he knows it's important.